Good evening. Good evening. How's everybody doing? Oh my God, my voice. How are we feeling today? Yeah, happy Monday. I hope everybody had a great weekend. I hope everybody's having a good Monday and start of your week. But I haven't talked to you guys in a few days, so I figured I'd hop on. Let's go live. Let's catch up on all the news this weekend. Not a lot. Obviously, it was kind of an off-season weekend. There wasn't a lot of news, but we'll go over whatever there was. There was some quarterback, news. Trent Williams, a little bit of news on his contract. Nothing crazy, nothing big. 49ers were at WrestleMania, and so was I. So we'll talk about all of that in just a few seconds here. Let me put a little timer and let everybody hop on in. What is going on, everybody? How's it going? I'm trying to use my voice, but I guess I don't have much of a voice. Just drove back from LA today. I was at WrestleMania. I haven't watched wrestling in years. Like, I used to love it growing up as a kid, but it's been years and years. But I had the opportunity to go to WrestleMania, and I said, screw it. Drove down to LA. It was fun. It was a hell of an event. I remember when I was 9 years old and I went back in Vegas. This was like in 1993 or something. But I finally went back. It was cool, man. I had a good time. Kittle, Mooney Ward, Talanoa Hufanga were there. I mean, obviously Kittle, we saw his WrestleMania moment, clotheslining The Miz and helping McAfee. But Mooney Ward, seeing him there, I was like, okay, I didn't picture him as a wrestling guy. And Hufanga, that was cool. So awesome to see George Kittle influencing these players. But how the hell is everybody doing? How's everybody feeling? Jordan says, any major rumors? Nothing crazy. We'll get to it. Julius is the best Mania of all time. Niner Gang. Good evening, Mandy. What is up, Debbie, Randy, Carl, Carlos? What's up? How's everybody feeling, man? It's been a fun weekend for me, at least. But yeah, my voice, I could feel it now. I'm like, oh, it's tough. But we'll power through. I'm not gonna do too much of a show tonight. I just wanted to talk to everybody. I haven't talked to y'all in a minute. So we're gonna talk about the Niners, and then NCAA March Madness finals today, and then I got my daughter's coming back from her mom, so good stuff. We'll talk about all the Niners stuff. So we need a Kittle and Raj tag team match. He'll definitely be there next year. Carl, I live in Philly. WrestleMania will be there next year. So good stuff though. But enough about that. Enough about me. Obviously, the good juicy news is the 49ers, and that's what we want to get to. So this weekend, actually, Brock Purdy was on the radio. This happened, I think, Friday or Thursday on Fox Sports, but obviously I wasn't here, so I didn't really get to talk about it. But he did talk. Let me pull this up. So he spoke about his elbow recovery, and he was on the radio, and this is what he did. So he basically acknowledged that he is recovering well. The surgery went good, and he, everything we know, he just basically rehashed it. So so Brock Purdy joined Rock and Mouch with the Jimmy B show, sharing that his recovery is going as planned, even if that means his support brace looks like a robotic arm. And Cam Inman posted the story on the Mercury News. So he basically reaffirmed that the initial timeline to throw is 3 months, but acknowledged that the date is fully contingent on his response to therapy. So obviously we expect him to start throwing in 3 months. What Brock said is you start throwing in 3 months, but it all depends on how your therapy and your range of motion and everything goes up until that point. There are definitely some boxes I have to check off first before I get to that point, but that's the plan of now. So obviously it makes sense, right? You go through rehab, and if you hit the certain window, you progress to the next stage. That's basically any rehab, but he's just reiterating the fact. So, 3 months from that surgery, March 10th, he should be throwing. So that puts him in about June, second week of June there. So what is up, 49er Jeff? Julius Callaway, mock draft season with trades? I think they're going to trade for sure. The 49ers, I think, are definitely going to trade within the draft. They got 11 picks. I just don't see them sitting put on 11 draft picks. I think they're going to move up. There's always players that they need to get, they want to have. And when you have 11 picks, I'm sure you can move around the draft. And I think they will. We'll have to do that. I like I said, I was out of town this weekend. I wasn't going to sit there and do a mock draft. Well, I'm out of town. I work a lot. So just haven't had time to do a mock draft, really, to put it together. It's a lot of work to put that down, put the content, do a show. So sorry if I haven't, been able to do that, but we'll get there soon. We still got 3 more weeks until the draft, 3.5. We'll find some time. So Brock Purdy, I want to come back to this. So Brock Purdy says basically he's in Arizona with the specialists. As we know, he's training with some physical therapists that are very, very informed on this type of injury. They've worked with baseball injuries. So he's staying with, the specialists out there that know how to tackle these elbow injuries. So he's working out there. He says he's a baseball guy and they trust him and everything is going as planned. So Brock's happy with the team that's working on him. And, he talked about his stages of recovery. And he says that when the stitches come out and you can start sweating and doing cardio, all of that blood flow helps your arm heal as well. Obviously there's different stages to recovery. So Brock was talking about that today, or not today, this weekend. And this is the main thing I got out of the article and everything that he said on his little, his interview with those guys. He says that he has some lofty aspirations for the season. He wants to return to the NFC Championship and have a different result this time around. He goes, the goal is to get back to the NFC Championship to win the Super Bowl. You do have to get past the injury, he says, but at the same time, you have to sort of remember things that happen and make you who you are. For me, I'm not going to let someone tear me down or anything. I'm going to learn from it, and we're going to get better. So to me, Brock Purdy's hyped up. He wants to focus on this recovery and get back and be the starter. So Brock Purdy, his mindset is he knows the team said he's the starter when he's healthy, and that's what he's getting at, man. And no matter what happens with Sam Darnold and Trey Lance, in Brock's mind, he's the guy, and he wants to prove that he's still that guy, and he wants to get to the Super Bowl. That's Brock Purdy. He says, we want to get to the NFC Championship and win this time. So good stuff, man. Good to hear Brock Purdy. He's in good spirits. And we talked about how he looked last week when we saw him with the brace, and he talked about that too. He says when you first get the brace after surgery, you're in it for 90 degrees, obviously, right? And then you can start opening it up. And we saw that brace, how it has that little dial. So typically it allows it for more, extension. They want you to be locked in at 90 degrees. But it's basically there to help keep your arm safe. And he talked about that. And he says out in public, it looks like he has a robotic arm. I'm sure people have said that. I saw memes everywhere. I remember the comments on that picture was he looks like RoboCop or Robo-Brock. So, he loves the jokes. He's, taking it as stride. So Brock's got a good mindset going into this injury. And it's nice to hear that, Brock's not letting this injury get the best of him. Because these are tough injuries. Any type of injury, any orthopedic injury, any injury to an athlete is just like, it's a pain in the ass, and it sucks. And sometimes mentally they can take you over. So he's going to focus on it, and hopefully there's no setbacks and he can throw, get his range of motion. I'm sure he'll get the range back. And then he has to get the strength and stability and be able to kind of have that mindset to go out there and, take the hits. That's the hardest part, I feel, mentally being able to take those hits when he gets back. So he's poised. He's ready to go. And we all know Brock Purdy's going to be the guy. Now, what happens with Sam Darnold and Trey Lance? That's the bigger question. And, obviously there's been a lot of speculation over the last couple of days, couple of weeks. I heard Larry Krueger. I was supposed to be, with Larry today, but obviously I was driving back. So we rescheduled our show for tomorrow. I can't wait to hear what Larry's got to say, because y'all saw the tweet that Larry Krueger put out. I don't know if you guys did, but this was a big tweet. Let me pull it up. I'm gonna read it. So Larry Krueger, he got a big tweet out this weekend. Let me pull that one up. Got a lot of heads turning with this one. Let me see what he said. Let me pull it out. Oh man. This one was turning a lot of heads. So this is what he said. He had 386 comments on this tweet. It says, based on what I've heard from Shanahan, Lynch, and York, I expect Trey Lance will be traded during the NFL draft. He says, my guess is he'll be dealt to the Titans for Malik Willis and a pick swap that gives the 49ers a day 1 to 2 pick as well. With the pick, they'll fill a major roster need with one of these options. Michael Mayer, tight end, Deontay backs, cornerbacks, Kalijah Canty, defensive lineman. He lists some other guys in edge, Cody Mock, offensive tackle, things like that. So, I mean, Larry Krueger, he's been saying this for weeks. We talked about it last week on our show that he really thinks that Trey Lance is going to get traded. And Larry threw this out there that based on what he's hearing, it's a prediction. It's not based on anything. It's not a report. He's just predicting that, Trey Lance is going to get traded, right? He's going to go out there and the team is going to trade him. And I can't wait to hear his thoughts on his thought process of this when we talk next time. But yeah, there's a lot of people that are starting to kind of report this as well. So Ari Myrov of My Sports Update, he was talking about it on his podcast today, and he kind of reiterated it. He says that the 49ers quarterback situation is kind of this situation where there definitely is people looking into Trey, and he could see him getting traded. But ultimately, he says, Ari Myrov says that he thinks Trey will stay, and obviously, he's going to have to come out there and compete with Sam Darnold, and he has to prove more than anything. And this is what all the media is saying is Trey Lance has more to prove than Sam Darnold to keep this job right now until Brock Purdy comes out. So that's kind of where the media is right now is Brock has to prove, or not Brock, Trey Lance has to prove himself and show that he can kind of come out and control this offense. So I don't know. I feel like everybody in the media that I've seen over the last couple of days and I've been reading and hearing, they're on the assumption that Sam Darnold is going to win this job. We talked about this the other night. Can Sam Darnold actually win the freaking job from Trey Lance to start until Brock Purdy comes back? I don't know, but this is what the media is talking to us. That's what they're saying. They're saying that, it's weird that they got Sam Darnold and, Trey Lance is going to have to really come out and prove without a shadow of a doubt that he's so much better than Sam Darnold. That's what the media's take is. So I'm going to pull up a couple other things. Albert Breer also wrote some stuff this weekend on Monday Morning Quarterback. And let me pull up this article as well. Man, my voice is killing me. That's from Albert Breer. What's up, Daniel? What's up, Peter Parker? My man, how are we feeling? He says, what's up, faithful man? The offseason sucks. Yeah, that's why I've been trying to stay busy and, go out and have some fun. He says, Trey's going to smoke Sammy D. Oh, man. Imagine getting Cody Mock and Jake Moody. Holy smoke. Gammon, what's up, my man? How we doing? He says, excited for the show. Appreciate you. Let's see. Carlos says Levi's is hosting the next WrestleMania cage match. Sam, Trey, and Purdy. Can you imagine? That's funny. Let me pull up this article. So this is from Albert Breer. He says 49ers hope Trey Lance or Sam Darnold turn a corner while waiting for Brock Purdy. So as we just talked about, what's up, media? What's up, Mariah? So as we talked about, Brock Purdy is basically confirming that he'll be ready. The 3 months is definitely the time that he expects to throw, and everything's going as planned, and there's no setbacks right now. So as we know, he's getting ready to ramp up, in a few months. Now, the big question that we're here now is Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, right? So while the 49ers are going to wait, they're going to allow the backup quarterback to play out. That's what essentially is they're doing is they're having the backup quarterback battle. Trey Lance and Sam Darnold, two players. Basically, they've had some bad luck over their last year, their couple of years. Sam Darnold, he had the bad luck of being drafted by the Jets in their terrible franchise until they've started turning it around this year, the last 2 years. He just was in a bad situation, and then he saw ghosts, and he had bad coaches, and, he just wasn't really in a good position. And then Trey Lance, he came out last year. It was supposed to be his season, and he got injured. And even before that, the year before, he had a lot of injuries and stuff. So unfortunate. And, now they're going to go battle it out. Sam Darnold, he has 55 starts under his belt. That's the biggest difference, right? He has 55 starts in this league. So we do have an abundance of film on him, and he hasn't really produced much. But then you have to realize that he's been on some really, really good, just talent-deprived teams, right? He has a 21-34 record as a starter. That's not good. But if you're an elite quarterback, people argue you should be able to take your team to the next level. But I mean, he's been on bad teams. So is he better than his record indicates? I think so. I think he's better than his record indicates. But is he better than Trey Lance, this raw prospect that was drafted with the number 3 pick? Sam Darnold was also drafted with the number 3 pick, right? And obviously with the news of Brock Purdy, and if he's not ready for week 1, we know one of these two guys is going to be the week 1 starter. So it's unfortunate of what happened last year to Trey, but he has one more chance basically to prove himself if they don't trade him, which again, people are rumoring. So Albert Breer says, this is what he said in the article. He says, what's up, No Border Sports? What's up? He says, what the Niners know now for certain is that the on-field reps through spring will go through Lance and Darnold, right? It says they're hoping Lance will turn a corner, but with the roster they have and the presence of Purdy, they can no longer sacrifice in-season reps to facilitate his development as they planned last year. So Albert Breer saying that if Purdy's ready week 1, they're not going to waste their time on Trey Lance to develop. They want to make sure that they have the best player available, and to them, it's Brock Purdy, as we've been told, right? They said Trey Lance has to come out, turn the corner, show he's the man, go out there so he can win that starting spot to start the season. But if Brock Purdy's back, they're good. This is what Albert Breer's saying. This is my interpretation is it doesn't matter how good he looks in preseason and training camp. If Brock Purdy's back, he's the guy. They don't want to waste time with developing Trey because he was supposed to develop last year, and it's a shit situation that he's in now. So now he'll just wait until Brock Purdy gets hurt if he does, which is kind of crappy for Trey, right? So we're in this position of Trey's got to work. He's got to battle. He's got to go out there and put all this work together to just prove that he can maybe start week 1. But Brock Purdy comes back. He's just going to sit on the bench. So he's the backup quarterback. And then you got Sam Darnold there. So that's why I feel a lot of people are thinking they're going to trade Trey Lance, because why do you just want to take this number 3 pick and sit him on the bench when you can get some value out of him? You could probably get a second or a first round pick like Larry Krueger and get a talented player like Cody Mock or a franchise player on the edge rusher or something. So it's tough. Like, a lot of people believe this, and that's where the media is coming from. Again, I feel like Trey Lance deserves a shot for the 49ers. They went up and traded him with the number 3 pick. He was supposed to be the guy. I mean, Brock Purdy just came out and he took advantage of his opportunity. So it's an interesting situation they've placed themselves in. And then Albert Breer also said this. He says, meanwhile, there's some hope that Darnold, seen as a strong system fit, could turn a corner as well. So as a rookie, Darnold played for Mike Shanahan's protege, Jeremy Bates, and his best year in his scheme built to make a QB play fast. So they're saying that Sam Darnold has the ability to play this offense because he has some familiarity with it. Again, he's played a lot of games in the NFL, 55 starts. And also, too, to that point is he might fit the scheme pretty well. So he can probably pick it up. So they're saying that, hey, Sam Darnold, even though he's not the greatest, even though he hasn't had a good career, he might be ahead of Trey because he understands the scheme a little bit more. He's a veteran in the league and at 25 years old. And Trey's got to step up to the plate and really show that he's better than Sam. So the media is really putting everything against Trey Lance, I feel. The media is pushing him in the corner, and that's the way I get. That's the vibe I get, is they're really pushing him down to the corner, saying, you got to beat Sam Darnold. We don't know if you could beat Sam Darnold. If you can't beat Sam Darnold, you're not going to be the starter. So it's an unfortunate turn of events for Trey Lance. You know, he came in, a lot of hype, and now he's sitting there saying, now they're sitting here saying he's just got to prove he could be a backup. So it's an unfortunate turn of events for Trey Lance in his career so far. So JC says there's a 49er channel saying that Kittle and Debo and Ayuk are one of them is getting traded. There's a lot of 49er channels that say a lot of stuff, JC, but there's no truth to that. There's a lot of rumors. People love to talk about rumors. This is the off season. There is really not a lot of news around this time, so people need to drive engagement, and they talk about stuff and they make rumors. And is it true? Probably not. But is it going to get people to tune in? Of course it is. So I doubt they trade one of those guys, but I'm sure that there's teams calling every day for Brandon Ayuk, for Debo, for Kittle. Because if you're a GM, you're going to be on the phone seeing what's available out there. I mean, if I'm a GM of a team, I'm going to call every team and ask for their best players. So I'm sure they've got to call. The 49ers, I'm sure, have got to call on any of those players on any given day. But are the 49ers willing to trade them? I doubt they want to trade them, but they're always going to listen to offers, and they tell us that every time. I don't think the 49ers are going to trade anybody right now. I do think they'll trade up in the draft some picks. You know, they'll take some picks, move up, move back, put themselves in position to, get the best players that they know in the draft. So that's the way I see it. The 49ers media, my man, he says, I really hope Trey can win the job. I think a lot of people want to see Trey. I think Trey, he's a polarizing subject at this point. There's some people that say they don't like Trey. Obviously, there's people that like Trey. And then everybody says, oh, Purdy's better. I don't think they realize. Yes, I think everybody understands Purdy showed what he can do last year. He was amazing. He was so good, right? His magical run, he proved it. He earned it. He's the leader. He's the captain. I get all that. But right now, Brock Purdy, we don't know if he's going to be back week 1 or not. So we're just hoping that Trey Lance comes in and shows us that he can be a capable starter in this league. And that's what we want. And again, if he comes out and wows everybody and he electrifies everybody and he's the showstopper and he doesn't need to, have his hand held and he's looking great and showing that he doesn't need to be developed like everybody thinks he does, now you're going to put the pressure on Brock Purdy. And that's what we want out of Trey Lance. We want Trey Lance to put the pressure on Brock Purdy. So What round do I think Cody Mock will go? He should go second round. I mean, he's a first round talent to me, but I think Cody Mock will go first round. Or sorry, second round. I really do. I think he'll go somewhere in the second round. I wish the 49ers could trade up and get him. He's really damn good, man. He's probably best tackle, at least top two, top three tackle in this draft. So 49ers would be wise to take a guy like that. So, I mean, I would definitely love to see a Cody Mock type guy. Guy's a monster. Um, Switch gears here. So we've talked about Brock Purdy. We've talked about Trey Lance. We talked about Sam Darnold. We know all that stuff. Just want to kind of go over these topics. So obviously we talk about rumors. Today we want to catch up with rumors. There's one rumor floating around from Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk. Like, this guy is something else. But I actually believe there's truth to this one. So Mike Florio says that Kirk Cousins to the 49ers was a hot topic at the NFL scouting combine, right? So every time people go to the scouting combines, you hear all these rumors that came out that you heard this, you heard this, you heard through the grapevine that this player was interested or this team was interested in this player, and yeah. So during the NFL scouting combine, Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk heard that one topic of discussion involved a potential new quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. And basically, that quarterback that he heard was Kirk Cousins. So this is according to Mike Florio. He says that apparently at the scouting combine, there was some chatter. There was some noise among people within the broader league structure, not media, but people in the league, about Kirk Cousins being traded to the 49ers. Florio basically said this on Pro Football Talk live, and it was a hot topic at one point in Indianapolis. So this was a topic that was getting brought up. Obviously, there's tons of media there. There's tons of coaches there. There's people that are linked to teams, and stuff gets said, and people are going to leak this information. Now that leaves. So if Kirk Cousins comes to the team, you're thinking, okay, what the hell's happening to Brock Purdy? What the hell's going to happen to Sam Darnold, Trey Lance? Like, what is going on here? So that's the question that remains. So according to this article, Mike Florio says that a trade for Cousins would likely mean that Trey Lance would go to the Minnesota Vikings. So, and at this point, Cousins has redone his deal. So if he were to come to the Niners, so blah 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 blah, $38 million cap charge. If you're going to swap out Kirk Cousins, you bring in a guy who's under a low cost contract like Trey Lance. So close to his home in Minnesota. So basically, Mike Florio says that the 49ers would be willing to trade Trey Lance to the Minnesota Vikings for Kirk Cousins, which honestly, I know it's crazy. It sounds crazy, and I wouldn't want Kirk Cousins, but Kyle Shanahan loves Kirk Cousins, and he's wanted Kirk Cousins on this team. I mean, he coached him when he was with Washington, right? One of the guys they had on their team. And we all know the love affair he's had with Kirk Cousins over the years. I remember when he came to the 49ers, right? 49ers, they didn't have a quarterback that year, 2017. Ultimately, they ended up getting Jimmy Garoppolo down the line on a trade. But during that draft, remember, they didn't scout quarterbacks. They were trying to get Kirk Cousins. They ended up getting Solomon Thomas and Reuben Foster in the first round, but they could have got, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson. But they were trying. They were hell-bent. Kyle was hell-bent on getting Kirk Cousins. So, again, this is a rumor. I don't think 49ers are going to get Kirk Cousins, but I would never put it past Kyle at this point. Although, they have Brock Purdy, and I know they want to make sure Purdy's the guy, and they've said everything. And the only way you go and get Kirk Cousins to me is if they know that Brock Purdy's not coming back this season, and there's some bad, flare-ups, and there's some setbacks in Brock Purdy's elbow. Because the way they've talked Brock Purdy up is, no, he is the guy, he's the man, and he's going to take this team to new heights. And that's the way, I've kind of, listened to Kyle and John and explained this situation. So I do feel that this Kirk Cousins talk is just Florio throwing stuff out. But Florio doesn't necessarily know a lot. He feels like he tries to know a lot. They don't leak information like this. Florio always has tried to have the pulse of the Niners, and he just doesn't. He's always on the miss on the Niners. So this to me definitely a rumor, but it's a rumor that could kind of be true because obviously Kyle loves Kirk Cousins, but Kyle, I feel like, has found his new Kirk Cousins, and that's Brock Purdy. So I'm going to read one more part of this article, and it says again from Mike Flory. He says, I feel bad for Trey Lance. Tough situation. He had no say, no power, honor, and a privilege to be thrust into a situation where you have the high expectations of being the third overall pick, heightened by playing for a great team, heightened by everything that they gave up to get in a position to get you. You're the guy. Um, you're the guy that gave up 3 1s to and a 3 to get, and all you can go is down. He needs a fresh start. So Florio says, he feels bad, but honestly, he does think that Trey Lance should get a fresh start somewhere. And Trey Lance deserves every opportunity he gets. Again, bad situation, tough luck, the injury, and now they had, Brock Purdy, who they found out of nowhere, and it puts you in this crazy, awkward situation. But again, Kyle Shanahan, Kirk Cousins, we've heard it many times in the past. I don't think it's going to happen because I think he found his new Kirk Cousins in Brock Purdy. But it's interesting. You're going to see these rumors in the next couple of weeks. You're going to hear a lot of these types of rumors in the next couple of weeks because the draft is approaching. The draft is April 27th. We're April 3rd? So 24 days. You got 3 weeks. You're going to hear a lot of this kind of stuff. So just get ready for it. Carl, talk about Ayuk. We'll talk about Ayuk in a minute. Randy says, if I was Trey, I'd want to leave. Yeah, I feel a little slighted at one point, but at the same time, I feel Trey understands the magnitude of the situation. He understands, Brock Purdy came in and he balled out, man, and he knows, I can't really say nothing because he took this team to the NFC Championship. And he said, no hard feelings. I got to go out there and prove myself, and I don't want to have the job handed to me. Although he was drafted so high, I feel like if I'm in that situation, if I'm the opposite way, imagine I'm Trey. Let's say Brock Purdy was the number 3 pick, right? And then he goes down and he gets hurt on his season. And then let's say Trey Lance was that last round pick, 262, right? Mr. Irrelevant. What if he comes out and he wowed everybody and you go, holy crap, Trey Lance, he's the guy. And then he gets the injury in the NFC. Like, if you flip the script, it'd be the same situation. Brock Purdy can't go in there. So it's just at this point, Brock Purdy took advantage of the situation. So if I'm Trey Lance and I flip the switch, I see it in my head like, hey, if I stole the show, if I took the job from the other guy, that's my job. I went out there, I took my opportunity. It sucks, but that's the validity of the situation. So you have to put yourself in both guys' shoes. I do feel bad for Trey, but at the same time, you can't deny what Brock did. This team does have that Super Bowl window everybody keeps talking about, and you want to win. The 49ers want to win games. What's up, Terrence? IMO says Trey will be a great quarterback. I just hope it's for us. Yeah, man. I want to see him come out there and be that guy that everybody was so excited a few years ago. I really do. I want to see him come out and just whoop some ass, man. But we don't know what's going to happen, and we don't know how he's going to respond to this injury. And it's an unfortunate situation. Peter Parker says if Trey comes out and it's clear that he outplayed Brock and still doesn't get the QB1 spot, then I think Trey Lance should look somewhere else. That's a good point, where if Trey Lance comes out and he's just looking like a star and you're like, oh my God, and you can't deny him, and Brock comes in and he's just not looking good, obviously he'll be coming back from injury. What's the leash? And that's where you have to draw the line is, what's the leash on each one of them? It's going to be an awkward, either way, it's going to be an awkward situation because one guy might look really good. And if you really are hell bent on the other guy, Brock Purdy, then it's going to cause some weird situation. Not Trey Lance, George Kittle talked about it, last week. And he said, on Busting with the Boys. And the thing that really stuck with me in that interview is he goes, 4th straight year of quarterback controversy. Like, this is crazy. And then we all know George Kittle's never played with the same quarterback every year other than 2019. The 49ers, Jimmy was healthy through 2019. But other than that, man, every year, the 49ers have just horrible quarterback situation. It's bad luck. I feel bad for this team, Yeah, it's an awkward situation. Definitely. My man says, came here. Oh, they love you. Our QBs are set. The O-line is what needs to step up. I agree with this. Observe natural evolution. The O-line, we saw what happened last year. When the O-line crumbles, you can't keep your quarterback healthy. So I do agree with this situation is 49ers need to improve their offensive line. And we talked about this before. We've talked about this many, many times. If it's up to me, 49ers should trade up and get a second-round pick. Go get a guy like Cody Mock because I feel like he could be a day one, really solid starter. But 49ers are putting their chips in on Colton McKivitz on that right tackle spot. I don't know. He's an X factor. And if he turns out to be a really good starter, then we're all going to be happy 49ers are going to look like stars. Front office is going to be like taking victory laps. Like, oh, we got Colton McKivitz. He was a fifth-round pick. Look at him. So much cheaper than Mike McGlinchey, and he's starter. Like, that's what they want. The 49ers, that's what they envision, is Colton McKivitz becomes a really good blocker, and they just took a big dub, and they're like, look at that, man. We evaluate talent better than anybody else. I don't know if Colton McKivitz can be that guy. I'm a little nervous, but I was nervous with Jake Brendel. I was nervous with Aaron Banks. So they have a good track record over the last couple of years. But man, oh man, that right tackle spot is such a big, big position. I know Kittle blocks. I know Kyle Juszczyk blocks. But we want to see them involved in the offense. So I agree, strengthen that right tackle spot. But not only that, go get more depth. I do like that they brought in Feliciano. You got Burford there. And then they brought in Matt Pryor. I don't know if he'll make the roster, but he's a big guy, and it tells you that 49ers just want some big-ass dudes at O-line. So definitely strengthen O-line. That's a big position to really fix. I agree with that. So, yeah, they really got to fix that O-line. I agree with you, my man. So. Hey, Peter Parker. Think we pull out 2 O-line gems in this draft? Man, if they pull out 2 gems in this draft, Parker, I would be hyped. I just want 1. That's all I want. I'm not greedy, my man. I don't want 2. I just want 1. But if they take 2, I mean, I'll be like, whoo, I'll be hyped out of my mind, right? So Anthony Colbreth says, this is Brock's team and Trey's the backup. It's like how Tom Brady took Trent Green's job in the Patriots. That's a good way to kind of envision it. That's crazy, though, because you're right. Trent Green, that was the guy. They were all in, and everybody was excited. And then, boom, Tom Brady comes out, and it's just like, well, it wasn't Drew Bledsoe with the Patriots. I think it was Drew Bledsoe was who he took the job over. But, man, Kurt Warner, I think, was Trent Green. Kurt Warner, Trent Green, Tom Brady, Drew Bledsoe. But it's a very similar situation as you have this guy that was supposed to be the guy. They took all the draft stock in him, and then he didn't stay healthy, right? And then boom, here comes this out of fucking nowhere. Like Tom Brady out of nowhere, late round pick, right? Kurt Warner was bagging groceries. Guy was bagging groceries. Played in like Arena Football League. And here comes Brock Purdy, the last pick in the draft. And you're absolutely right. He stole the show. He stole the show. No, it's cool, Anthony. I understood what you're saying. I had to think about it. I was like, wait. No, it's a different quarterback. But I get the analogy, and it's very similar. I feel bad for this whole situation. Carl says, I feel bad for Lynch and Kyle. I mean, at the end of the day, they got to make the right picks, and sometimes they make the right picks, sometimes they don't. Like, I feel like Kyle and Shanahan have gotten better, or Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch have gotten better over the last years with talent evaluation. But honestly, Adam Peters is there. They got a lot of draft scouts. Ron Carthon, like it's a whole team. It's not just them. But I feel like over the years, first round picks for them have just been so hard. I don't know if they're analyzing it right or if they're overthinking it or they see different traits, but they historically have missed first round. Solomon Thomas, Reuben Foster, Mike McGlinchey. I mean, he was okay, but he wasn't he was drafted top 10, and to me, it wasn't top 10 worthy with how he, produced. You had Javon Kinlaw, obviously Brandon Ayuk hit, Nick Bosa hit. Nick Bosa was a can't miss prospect. I could have drafted Nick Bosa on my team if I was GM. I would have looked like a fucking goat, right? But to the point is they are so good with their late round talent evaluation. Like they scout gems, but they have such a hard time drafting up in the front of the draft. Even second round picks, some of them didn't pan out, right? Dante Pettis, Mr. Cat. And then you had other picks. Third round, Jalen Hurd, right? I mean, Tarvarius Moore. There's been some picks that hit, obviously, in every round. You got to give the good to the bad. Fred Warner was a third round pick. We know about all the fifth round picks. Fourth round pick, Spencer Burford's been solid so far. Aaron Banks, good second round pick so far. So it's tough, man. You're going to hit, you're going to miss. But first round has been pretty bad, man. It's been ugly. So, pretty ugly. So, can we get a duo like Gronk and Aaron Hernandez? Hernandez before the crime and craziness, man. I agree with you, Anthony. I want this team to go and get another tight end because I need Kittle to have some help. Well, I don't know how many more years Kittle has left in him as an elite tight end. He's going to be 30 years old. We know how much he trains like a monster. Like, I don't question his heart. I don't question his ability, his skill set. But I question how much longer his body's going to stay up. They need to get him some help out there. I agree with you. Go get another nasty tight end. There's a lot of good tight ends this year. And if you guys saw the weekend, obviously George Kittle was out in WrestleMania. Like, he's going to aspire to bigger things after the NFL. He's not just going to retire from the NFL, and that's the last we hear of George Kittle. George Kittle's got a lot of plans after the NFL. Tight end university, WrestleMania. I mean, this guy's going to be he's going to be doing a lot of things in a lot of different situations. He might be an actor. Like, this guy, he just looks like a personality. He looks like a superstar, just a celebrity. He's just a celebrity. He's not just an NFL player. He's not a football player. I think George Kittle may one day have a Hollywood star, like a star in Hollywood. Like, that's the way I see it with it. That's what I see. What's up, Agent E? My man Observe says Kyle getting carried this time by a rookie quarterback changed how he used rookies. That's a good point, actually, because, we've said this many times, right? Kyle does not want to use rookies. I feel like maybe this might have changed him, right? Did this change Kyle? I think you might be right, actually, because before he was so strict. He was so strict with using these rookies. But I feel like over the last year or two, he's really gotten better. Like Spencer Burford, the fact that he was a starter through most of the year. I mean, I know he rotated with Brunskill, but I mean, come on. Spencer Burford was a starter on this team. I mean, he does give people a hard time, like Drake Jackson. He shut him down because he wasn't, his body wasn't right enough to get through the last end of the season. And he sent him a message like, yo, get your body in shape. But I feel that Kyle has turned the corner a little bit on starting rookies. I mean, he's still got a long way to go. But, I mean, if you saw what happened a couple of years back, right? Trey Lance, the rookie season, he got a little bit of opportunities. Brock Purdy, I feel like, though, it was a little bit different because Brock came in and they had to throw him in there. There was no other choice, right? You had Jimmy went down, Trey went down. You absolutely had to use him. So it was a little different situation. But I do feel that he's kind of turned the corner a little bit on starting rookies. But it's not as much as some other teams. But he has kind of gotten a little bit more loose in that sense. So, yeah, Red Eye, that's kind of the point, is he has to use rookies due to the injuries. So 100%. So even though he has gotten a little bit more free with the reins of using a rookie, a lot of it has to do with the kind of situation they've gotten themselves in. Is rookies are having to be used because of the injuries, like Elijah Mitchell, right? Raheem Mostert obviously got hurt. That man, Raheem Mostert. We're gonna talk about Raheem in a minute before we finish the stream. But yeah, Elijah Mitchell had to start because of the injuries. Trey Sermon was injured that offseason, so it was like, okay, this guy's gonna take the most of the snaps because he rises up to the occasion. I mean, he's not afraid to use rookies, but a lot of it does have to do with the fact that there's a lot of injuries. So, that's a good point. Talent definitely beats out everything. If you're talented, if you're good, if you're better than the other guy, and you work your ass off, you're eventually gonna get that opportunity. And that's what Brock had. That's what happened to Brock. He came in, he got his opportunity, and he just stole the show. So, Luke the Don says he still doesn't show love to the rookie wide receivers. The thing about that is I feel like Kyle is the hardest on receivers because he was a receiver himself. So that's where he's going to be the absolute hardest on every player because he was a wide receiver himself. He said it himself. Like Brandon Ayuk said it. He's such a prick to the receivers, man. That's it. He is such a D-bag to the receiver group because he wants to push them to be the best that they can. And even Brandon Ayuk, we've talked about this many times, that Ayuk said, like, Kyle told him he was okay, he was good, there's nothing special, you're not great. He says he was so used to being told he was like the greatest, he was the best, you're so special. And Kyle was like, you can do better. You can do better. And that right there stuck with Ayuk. He's like, what, this guy's telling me I'm not the best player on my team? What are you talking about? And that's at first, it messed with Ayuk because he was like, what do you mean I'm not that good? I could be better. Because Ayuk, again, he's used to being told he was the man. He said it in an interview last year on KNBR, and he goes, Kyle finally just said you can be better, and it pushed him and motivated him. And that's what Kyle's mindset is. Tough love. So, but, I want to transition real quick. I know I want to end the stream a little early today because I got a lot of other stuff to do. Just came back. But real quick, on the weekend, since we're talking about stuff that happened over the weekend, I'm sure you guys saw it, but Raheem Mostert, low-key throw shade at Kyle, but I want to get your guys' take on it. I mean, I guess he was right, but I feel like it's kind of crappy that Raheem's just sitting here taking shots when it's freaking Raheem Mostert. Kyle kind of made him. But so Tyreek Hill, there was a tweet, right? On PFF, it says, what is the biggest what if story in NFL history, right? What is the biggest what if story? And they post a picture of Bo Jackson. Tyreek Hill says, what if I would have caught that pass against the Buccaneers? And then Raheem Mostert tweeted over that, and he says, what if we ran the ball against the Chiefs when we were up 2 possessions with 6 minutes left? And he says Super Bowl champions. Like, so he's basically saying if the 49ers would have ran the ball with 6 minutes left, they would be Super Bowl champions. So I mean, first and foremost, I saw this, I was like, all right. I didn't post it. I was so busy this weekend. I was like, I know somebody's gonna post it, whatever. I'm not gonna give Raheem his 5 seconds of fame he wants. I get it. He wasn't wrong in the sense of saying they should have ran the ball. But who's Raheem Mostert to talk? Why are you talking about the Niners? You should have moved on. Stay healthy. Stick to your Dolphins and stop talking about the 49ers. At the end of the day, Kyle Shanahan made this guy. And I don't know why he's throwing the Niners under the bus. Like, I get it. I do agree with this take. The 49ers should have ran the ball. But at the same time, there was other issues in that Super Bowl. I'm not even going to rehash the Super Bowl because I don't want to. It's PTSD. You get a little pissed off thinking about it. But what is Raheem Mostert sitting here talking? Stop. Raheem Mostert needs to just stay healthy. He's big mad. He was always mad. He was always drama. I know there's a lot of Niner fans that, oh, yeah, he's right. He's so right. I get it. I was so pissed when I read this tweet this week. I was like, why is he even talking? Be for real, Raheem. Nobody cares about you right now. You got sent to Miami. You left. You were salty when you left. He's still salty on the Niners, man. I don't know. I loved Raheem when he was here. He was cool. Great story. The guy just needs to stop talking. Just don't talk about the Niners anymore. Yeah, move on, Felicia. My man Red Eye says, can't laugh at Mostert. Dude was injury prone on the Niners. On Dolphins, he rushed. Yeah, I mean, he's good. He's not bad. He's not a bad player. But at the same time, man, just move on. Continue to let your game do this. Speak. I get it. You're mad. We're all. You think the Niner fans aren't mad losing that Super Bowl? We can sit here and have a whole show about that Super Bowl. We're not going to. I'm just sick of players when they leave a team, they decide to start speaking up. Be for real. You should have spoke up when you had the opportunity. He had the opportunity to say. He didn't say nothing back then. Should have said what you had to say when you had the opportunity when you were with the team. But I digress. Let's open it up for some questions. We'll take a few minutes of questions, and I want to get to this. The national championship game is about to start, or it has started. I don't want to miss it. So, let me see what some. Let me take about a few questions, and we'll end it today. But appreciate you guys. It's good to see you. It's good to hear from you. Sorry, it's good to be back, and it was good talking to everybody today. I need to get my voice fixed. I need to have some tea tonight. Used all my voice this weekend. So 49er Jeff says, I agree. Anthony, who's my draft crush? I've talked about those guys a lot, but if I had to pick one, I think it's Cody Mock, right tackle, North Dakota State. He's just a dog, man. I feel like he's my favorite tackle in this draft. So Stan says, bro lied his ass off. Mostert only had 861 yards with the Dolphins. I don't know where my boy's getting those stats then. Where's he getting? Is he making up them stats? Let's see. Let's pull up Raheem Mostert's stat line. Boy's lying for Raheem, huh? Let's see what we got. Let's see Raheem Mostert's stats. I thought he got hurt this year. Didn't he get hurt? I'm pretty sure he did. I wouldn't be surprised. He had 181 attempts, 891 yards, 3 touchdowns, 31 receptions. Oh, maybe it's receptions. Because maybe he got some combined yards. Let's see. Receiving. Pull up his stats. Miami. So, yeah, he had 202 receiving yards. So 202 plus the 800 and change. So about 1,000 yards overall. I don't think it wasn't 1559. Played 16 games. Wow. Good for him. 200 receiving, 890 rush yards. There we go. So good. Thank you. Appreciate you, Jeff. Yeah. Thinking of my mistake. It's all good. It's all good. We got to check the stats, man. We got to keep each other honest. I like it. But it was close. 500 yards off, though. That is a big difference. 500 yards is still a little. It is. I thought he did get hurt, right? He did miss some games. But shout out to him. Good for him. Just stop talking about the Niners because he at the end of the day, he just needs to stop. Polish. Am I gonna see Pilo in May? I don't know. Maybe I'll hit up Pilo, see if he can send me some tickets. I don't have plans on it. I got plans to see Drake in August, but I don't have any tickets for Pilo. I gotta start saving some money right now. Wilson Jr. took over when he got to Miami. Yeah, he did. It's a good duo. They got two good running backs there. Yeah, Randy says he played 16 games. That's what I see too on ESPN right now. But good for him. I think he battled some injuries, but good for him. Well, he played 16 games in 2019. That's where he did some damage for us. So I don't know. That whole tweet pissed me off. I was just like, why are you bringing up old stuff? I was low key irritated. I was trying to have a good time this weekend. I see him like digging that tweet out. I was like, come on, man. I get it. I just don't like thinking about that Super Bowl loss. Game irritated me. So that was such an irritating game. The holding on Bosa, to me, that was worse. The holding on Bosa, there's sitting here like choking the man, and they're not going to call anything. It's the worst. That was the worst Super Bowl ever. God, I hate it. I'm already getting myself riled up on it. Oh, man. We'll take two more questions here, and then I'm going to call it a night. See if there's any comments I missed. Let's see. Kyle deserves all the heat. You guys agree? You think Kyle should be on the hot seat? I don't know. I think he's done a good job. 3 NFC champions the last 4 years. I just don't know who they'd replace him with. I get it. He definitely should have some criticism. I've been critical of him over the years, but I feel like he's done a good job in terms of putting together a good roster. He's not perfect. He's come a long way. I think his slow starts and ability to get this team back over the hump and get them down to the NFC Championship is pretty amazing. It reminds me of Andy Reid. I've talked about that. Andy Reid, he just couldn't. He was always knocking on the door. He was always knocking on heaven's door, and then he could never pull it off. He finally got a quarterback, Pat Mahomes, and now they're best team in the NFL. So I feel like Kyle's close, but I mean, he's definitely not. He shouldn't be free of criticism. I think everybody has their criticisms of him, but I don't think the 49ers should get rid of him just yet. Still got a great team. Yeah, I don't know. I think people that leave this team at running back they're salty, man. Oh, man. 49er Jeff says, I hope CMC stays solid this season. Me too, man. I'm really excited to see CMC play a full season for the 49ers. What he did last year after, mid-season trade was just phenomenal, man. I'm so excited to see Christian McCaffrey. His training was insane. We've seen a little glimpse of it. I remember seeing some of that stuff when he first got traded to the team. I think the people that are doing that help him with his training, they posted a video like months ago, and I saw it. I was like, oh man, his training's gonna be crazy. And now that we see him training right now for the next season is incredible. Look at this. He had 746-yard rushing last year in half a season with us, man. 6 touchdowns, 52 receptions. 741 yards. That's crazy. God, he was killing it for us, man. Just a beast. Man. Guy is amazing. I can't wait for CMC myself. Vinovich. Oh, I hate Vinovich. Yeah, you're right. I agree with you. He loves this Kansas City. They must be paying him off. I definitely agree with you, Red Eye. Vinovich, man, he loves him some Casey. Absolutely agree with you. Absolutely. All right, last question. Let's see if we got one more question. I'm gonna get off. I want to watch this NFC. I want to watch this March Madness, man. Who you guys have tonight? UConn, San Diego State. I think San Diego State might pull off the upset. But I think UConn's the better team. UConn's way good. They're probably the best team in the tournament. I think San Diego State, they might pull off this upset. So, let's see. No more questions, huh? All right. That's it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have a good rest of your night. And enjoy. Oh, wait, we got one more question. Let's see. Julius, this will be the last question. So he says 2012 Niners versus the 2022 Niners. Whew, that's a tough one, man. I love me some 2012 Niners. That Harbaugh team was special, but god dang, man. That's really a toss-up. Defensive line is special for both teams. You got Bosa, but then again, you had Patrick Willis and Navarro, Alden Smith, the Cowboy, some squads. Vernon Davis versus Kittle, Frank Gore, CMC, Debo, Ayuk. It's a toss-up, man. Brock Purdy, Colin Kaepernick. That's a fun match, man. Bowman and Willis, though, man. You got Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw. Jesus, man, it's a tough question. If I had to gun to my head, flip a coin, I'm taking that 2012 squad. They were just bullies, man. That O line, Joe Staley and everybody on that line, Iupati. That was a filthy team, man. That team should have won a Super Bowl. I was outraged they didn't, but that'll be a hell of a match, man. It'll be down to the wire. It's so close. I mean, you can argue either way, but I don't know. I'm feeling the nostalgia vibes, probably because I was at WrestleMania this weekend. There's a lot of nostalgia in there, so I'm taking 2012, man. But it'll be a hell of a matchup. But yeah, anyways, y'all have a good rest of your night. Appreciate you. Have a good rest of your Monday. Let's go and enjoy this national championship. We'll be back live tomorrow with Larry Krueger, 4:30 p.m. Pacific. I know we usually do Mondays, but I just barely got home an hour ago. So we will be back. Larry Krueger on Tuesday, and Wayne Breezy and me are back on Wednesday. So stay tuned. 4:30 p.m. Pacific, both nights, actually. So tune in if you love it. If you don't, it's all good. But make sure you tune in if you like me. So appreciate y'all, man. Have a good rest of your night. Go Niners.